in. I'm Lisa and you're watching Money Sees. This is the 11th and final episode of Money Sees. And through the last 10 episodes, we've tried to give you a nice outline, a structure of what your money journey should be like, beginning from your, savings to insurance to investing for safety, for wealth creation, and a whole lot more. In this 11th episode, we are touching upon something that's left over. This idea that your first asset after you start earning and you're settled is to buy your own house. Yes, this idea worked very well for our parents, for our grandparents, to own their own house earlier in life rather than later. However, it's an idea which has changed now because of the dynamics of how our lives are being led today. While 30, 40 years ago, people usually worked where they lived, close to where they lived. They were born and brought up in the same town, worked in the same town, and that was fine. Most of us moved to metro cities, either in India or overseas, and we work far from where we live. You hardly ever see people, young people, living and owning flats near commercial districts where their office is. Rather, if you're going to make that decision to buy a house, you'll probably start moving away from your office. Move to one suburb, then the next, wherever you can afford. And the younger you are, the further away from your office you're going to be, because your affordability will be like that. So, you'll have to move away. And while in the initial years, it'll be very exciting to own your own house. But over a period of time, that 2-3 hour travel, and some people travel that much one way, but that long travel to and fro every day will cause stress and frustration over a period of time. The mistake people make is assuming that they are going to keep earning more and more every year, and that will make it easier to repay the EMIs and to repay the loan faster. However, as you keep growing, actually your expenses increase; they don't reduce. You are going to have a spouse, you're going to have children, you're going to want to travel, and things get more expensive thanks to inflation as well. So also the assumption that definitely your salary will keep increasing is not a fair one anymore, because things are a lot more uncertain today. Jobs can be lost as well. But if you have that hefty EMI to deal with, what will happen is that you will end up chasing more money rather than chasing the right job. And that will cause you either to underdeliver, because that's not really your area of skill, you're just doing it for money, or it will cause you to overwork yourself. Whatever the situation is, it will cause stress, frustration at an early age, which is really not worth it in my opinion. Because remember also what has changed from when our parents and grandparents were buying and building their own homes and houses is that we, to buy our house, will end up taking a 90% loan on the value of the house. That's how banks are chasing you. That's how they are, attracting people that, look, we can give you all the money. You don't have to put in your own money. Also, what happens is that people think that rent is a sunk cost, but it's not really the case, because the place you will rent will be closer to where you work. And that means you have more time to spend with your family, and that's valuable time. And you will be able to afford a larger space, because the rent you pay for the same value of the house or the flat is this much, whereas the EMI, thanks to interest, is this much. The difference, you can actually invest in financial securities. Access to these things was not easy for our grandparents, our parents. There was not so much information, knowledge, and a tip of the hand kind of access through apps, etc., which we have now. So we should utilize that benefit and not necessarily think of rent as a sunk cost, but a smarter, wiser decision, at least in the early years of your life. That 90% loan is really saying that you can't afford to buy the house with your own money. So don't do it. Also, that EMI then becomes a lot more than what you expect, because remember, you're going to also do up your own house. There are going to be other expenses. So as a proportion of your monthly salary, the EMI is really going to be something that's unaffordable, and you are going to waste a lot of time in your early young years just trying to repay that EMI. Make sure you don't rush into buying your own house. Do it when you can afford to reduce the loan value to 40 to 50% of the value of the house, and your EMI as a proportion of your monthly income is not more than 20 to 30%, so that you have your income for other things, for spending on entertainment, for traveling, for your children, or whatever else that it is that you want. The second thing I'm going to talk about is also related, and that is to stay away from loans. Yes, I know most of us will have a car loan, but make sure that the car loan is not like 20% of your monthly income. 5 to 7% of your monthly income, the car loan EMI, should not be more than 5 to 7% of your monthly income. There are a lot of great cars out there and we are all attracted to them. And just because the EMI fits in our salary doesn't mean that you can afford it. No, you can afford it if the EMI is that low. 5 to 7% of your salary, you need money for other things as well. You need money to invest, to save, to create that emergency fund, remember. And if you have a pile of savings, if you have accumulated your savings, then it's very easy in times of uncertainty to pull out something and pay your EMI, right? Now, you may have taken that iPhone on an interest-free EMI on your credit card. You may have taken that 55-inch LED 4K TV as well. But you see, these interest-free EMIs just pile up, and then your credit card is so full of them, of things that you cannot afford, that at one stage, if you're uncertain about your job, if you're unhappy with your job and you just leave it, you will not be able to afford to repay that. And one, delay in payment of your interest-free credit card EMIs will mean that you start paying interest at a rate of 36% per annum. And that's really expensive. And they're not going to let you go. Plus, also there's a concept of credit rating. The minute you start defaulting, the minute you start delaying your payments even, your credit rating starts dipping. And years later, when you really desperately need a loan, for whatever it may be, because of that low credit rating, the loan you will get at a very, very high interest, at an unaffordable interest. So stay away from loans, especially for things that you're just going to consume and use and throw eventually. Businesses take loans, they use it for projects which deliver them revenues, they use the revenues to repay the loan. But even analysts, when they're looking at businesses, equity analysts, they prefer businesses which have lower loans, not higher loans, right? So please stay away from loans early in your life. Learn to save and accumulate, because that is what is going to help you, not the loans that you're buying swanky phones or TVs, etc. with. Make sure you don't rush into that home buying experience. It's a great experience. Save it for a time that you can actually savor it, rather than put yourself in stress trying to fulfill that commitment, and stay away from loans. So these are the leftovers I wanted to talk to you about. If you like what you're hearing, if you like this idea of Moneyzies, then do make sure that you watch all the episodes 1 to 10. Get that outline for your money journey and do it right. Begin right, start smart, start wisely. Also, if you have any queries or specific comments that you want to make, please drop me an email or leave a line for me somewhere on the YouTube channel or on my page. And in the meantime, do keep logging into moneypuzzle.in for all your personal finance queries. Thank you for watching. I'm Lisa.